Hello everyone, this is Kangshen. For this TeachOne video, I will work on the benchmarking problem for HAP823 class, week 5, question 2. The question is asking that following data report patients with 10 diagnostic-related groups and the 3 HCC indices cared for by a clinician and his peer group. Using SQL to determine if the clinician is more efficient than his peer group. First, I download the data and import it into SQL. The data is showing like this, including 5 columns: ID, DRG, HCC, doctor for clinician or peer group, and the length of stay. We are going to calculate the pattern for care for clinician and for the peer group. So we decline the attribute as a float, and we are going to set the attribute for counting IDs from the original table that we imported in with where condition that specifies that doctor equals clinician. Then we select the DRG as DRGA, HCC as HCCA, the average of length of stay. We also select count the ID and count ID again by dividing it by the attribute that we declared as the probability. We put them into a temporary table and put the where condition where doctor equals clinician and group by DRG and HCC. Here is the result table. Then we are going to use the same SQL code, but we will change the clinician to the peer group to calculate the pattern of the care for the peer group. We also need to change the column names and put it into another temporary table called peer. This is how the table looks like. After we've done so, we are going to match the clinician and peer group on Strata, and we are going to use this code. We use case when HCCA, which is from the clinician temporary table, is known. Then we put HCCB, which is from the peer temporary table. Else, we keep them as HCCA and as HCCA. And we will do that for the rest of the columns and put in a temporary table called match, and we will use full join function to join the table on DRGA equals to DRGB and HCCA equals HCCB, and the table is showing on the right. The next step is to calculate the overlap between clinician and peer group without syntactic cases. So we are going to use the table match, and we are going to use this code to calculate the percent. As we can see from the result, we got 81.48%. Then we are going to increase the overlap percentage by using the syntactic cases. Before I run the codes, I would like to show you the structure tree to see how it works. Here is an example. As we can see in this picture, the probability of different patient types is referred to as distribution of patients. We notice that the peer group on the left has no patients with high HCC and APDRG. Therefore, we need to estimate the outcome for the peer group using the syntactic cases for the missing values to increase the overlap. And this is how we're going to calculate the missing value. We calculate the marginal outcomes. We take the average of the values in the row and the average of the vertical column. and the assumption of the interdependency, the joint outcome is calculated as the product of the marginal values divided by the average outcome for the entire dataset. In the SQL, we switch probabilities and calculate the missing outcomes. As you can see in this code, we are going to select everything from A. In the case when the length of stay is known, we put the average length of stay and inner join the match table and specify that doctor equals pair. As I showed earlier how to calculate the marginal values. And we put everything into a new temporary table called all. And we can see the outcome table is showing us on the right. Then we are going to use the same code for calculating the overlap after using the syntactic cases. We can see that the overlap increased to 100%. Finally, we need to specify the length of stay for the clinician and the peer group to evaluate the efficiency. So we select run sum probability of A to multiply by case when length of stay from B is known, then 0, else we put length of stay for A and as the clinician length of stay. We use probability of B to multiply by length of stay from B and as the peer length of stay. Then we calculate the efficiency. After I run this code, the result shows that the length of stay for clinician is 2.96 and the length of stay for peer group is 3.05. For my conclusion, the clinician is more efficiency than his peer group by 2.78%. This is everything for this problem. Thank you for listening.